Where's Fielder? He's gone to the dogs.
Welcome to the Gone to the Dogs podcast. We're reaching up, as the case may be for me, to the state. And well, wait a minute, Jim. I always go through this. Are you in South Carolina or North Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I know you dabbled down there in South Carolina for a while, and then you came back, right?
Right.
Yeah, North Carolina. I spend a lot of time talking to people in North Carolina. My buddies over there around Taylorsville, talking dogs and all that. But got Jim Meeks on the program today. Many of you across the country read his columns for many years in Full Crime Magazine. Remember him as Wildman Meeks. And it's always good to reach out to my buddy and talk to him. Usually get to see him at the Grand American about once a year. But, Jim, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Getting by, I guess.
Well, that's kind of about the way things go at this stage in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would you like to be back at the age when you had Tom and Jeff and Champ and some of those dogs?
I'd love to be back at that age, but if I couldn't do that, even at the age I am, I'd just like to have the places to hunt that I had then.
Boy, that's a sore subject for coon hunters all across the country. Where can I turn this big-legged dog loose?
And getting worse.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is. I always try to put a positive spin on this sport if I can, and not delve too much into the negative stuff. But, boy, that's one right there that we just can't ignore, can we?
And it's not just a few. It's bothering a whole generation of coon hunters,
Yeah. Well, that's as I talk to some of these younger hunters, doing a podcast like this, you get quite a few guys I imagine it was that way when you were writing. You get people that contact you and have questions, and they're just looking for help. And it's coon hunting. Coon hunting sounds like a simple sport. Just get a dog, go to the woods, turn him loose, tree a coon, end of story. But it's a lot more complicated than that, isn't it? We know that it's quite a bit more complicated than that. But I do get these fellows, and I figure they're young. Everybody's younger than I am. But, they have questions, and they talk about their experience. I try, when I talk to somebody, that, find out where they're from, what kind of places they've got to hunt, and, of course, what kind of dogs they like and all that. But invariably they'll say that, don't have very many places. Usually it's on some government land of some kind, state land.
Steve, I'm so out of places. I don't even know why I keep a dog. I got a couple of good friends up here that's got some places, and they good enough to me to take me hunting. But myself, I've probably got 3 places that I go hunting, and I very seldom kill a coon. But these places, if you kill a coon, you got to wait for another to be born and move in. You think up here, you lived up in the mountains. You see all this hardwood and all these white oaks, and this is farm country too, and there's cornfields everywhere. You think you'd have to kick the coons out of the way to get the dog out of the truck, but it just ain't that many coons. There's just coons here and there. And I had a few places, and they come in here with a chainsaw and took most of that, and then people's moved in and don't want nobody hunting. But I've been lucky. I got 2 or 3 people that lets me hunt. They've always let me hunt, and whatever the situation, they've adjusted to it and just tell me, just go ahead, hunt, But I couldn't hunt a dog like them boys hunting them big hunts. I couldn't hunt a dog like that here at all. He'd be dead in the highway or somewhere, I couldn't guide a cast of them pro sport hunters because we don't have enough land up here for them dogs to hunt them. And when I lived down in the swamp country, it didn't matter how far he went. He had plenty of room to go. But there's so many roads and stuff up here. It just, well, it's still good to coon. Everybody up here coon hunts, so I guess it's still good. It's just you got to kind of pick your places.
Yeah, that's what I see. I often wonder about as I listen to these, particularly pro sport hunts and PKC hunts. And even at the UKC World Championship and the Tournament of Champions and all these big running dogs, you just wonder how long, it's going to be possible to hunt that kind of a dog because, I lived in Michigan for about 22 years. And I had 30 spots that I could go hunting within probably 10, 15 miles of my house.
Right.
Just any direction I wanted to go, just about. But, I didn't have, even back then, I didn't have spots where I could have hunted that kind of dog. Mostly it's mile squares up there. And I would rarely have dogs get out of that section, And the few times that we had dogs hit on the road, it's when they did that, Yeah. Tried to get out of there. And
you had plenty of coons, too.
Yeah, that was it. They would get on coons, and they didn't have to go that wide. But you being in North Carolina, my buddies up there, Mark Miller and Cody Fox is a fairly new coon hunter. He's been a hog hunter and various kind of killed a big bear last Saturday, so I think he's probably ruined.
Yeah.
But they don't have a lot of coon either. And, this dog that we've hunted, this fever dog, I was kind of surprised when Mark and I went partners on that dog and all to find out, that dog will go hunting and he'll find one if there's one in there. It seems like. But it has to go quite a ways sometimes. And, of course, everybody, I think, uses feeders to some degree to kind of hold the coon, what few they've got, hold them in range where they can go out on a weeknight,
Well, when I lived down in Orem, I belonged to 4 big deer clubs, and I had several real good friends that were big farmers that let me hunt. And then I just had a bunch of land I could hunt. I could hunt, seemed like forever, and not have to go back to the same place. Of course, I went to the same places because it was good places and I liked hunting them, But it amazes me, even back in the 60s or say the 70s, when I lived there around Charlotte, them guys from Asheville and on up in there, Franklin and all would come down hunting. And it amazed me they didn't have many coon at all. And they had the brokest dogs. And you think them dogs up there with all the trash they had, they'd just be the worst thing in the world to not have any coon. But they'd bring them dogs down there and we'd hunt, and them would, just about all them dogs they brought would just be just about stone broke. And it amazed me how they broke them dogs and didn't have many coons like that.
Well, I tell you probably what
but they
happened.
never had any coons up there.
No, that's for sure. And that's the way it was where I grew up. In the mountains, we had more coon hunters than we did coons.
Yeah.
If I sit down, one day I was going to try to sit down and just remember all the coon hunters I knew, when I lived in West Virginia. Just around home there, not all throughout the state, and man, I mean, there's a passel of coon hunters, but here's a little theory. They probably broke those dogs pretty hard because, they couldn't be running to the top of those ridges, and pull a dog off of a possum or have that dog, run a fox all night when they're trying to coon hunt, because you can't just walk around there like a golf course.
There wasn't no shot collar.
No.
You had to run him down, put your hand in his collar.
That's right. You had to administer some corporal punishment there. Hand-to-hand combat. My dad, let me tell you, we may have talked about this before. One time he made a what he called a grappling hook. Dad was a pipe fitter and welder, and he could weld up about anything. And he took some angle iron or something there and made it look like a two hook, a double, like you'd have a treble hook on a fishing lure, only it just had two, and it would slide along the ground on the back, so the hook part would stand up. He'd go out and put that on a piece of clothesline cord or some kind. They didn't have that paracord back then when I was a kid, but he'd turn those dogs loose on a deer, turn one loose and let him go till he got hung up. And that hook would hang in just about anything, but it'd go for a ways sometimes. And then, they didn't have any way to do it, but just, have a come to Jesus party with them. And that's the way they had to break dogs back then. I do remember him getting one of those real short hot sticks, a cattle prod thing. And he had a burlap bag. Now, people say this is so cruel, but extreme measures or circumstances require extreme measures sometimes. But he had this drawstring burlap bag that he'd put over their head with scent in it, and then he would introduce them to Thomas Edison's invention.
Yeah.
Times have changed for sure. I'm not advocating anybody do that.
Right.
No.
I had an old gray black and tan female one time, and she was a real good dog, but we still didn't have a whole lot of coons in, but she treed coons when we were just getting coons, and she's a good possum dog. Well, we didn't have deer. I lived in Charlotte, and we didn't have any deer at all. They hadn't come in there yet or been introduced in there. But we had foxes everywhere, and that was your main thing, to run a fox at night or a rabbit. Dogs don't run rabbits now at all. Coon dogs don't, but back then the young dogs run a rabbit with foxes was the thing. And she used to get me so mad. I told people she'd be running the fox, and I'd just tell whoever's with me, y'all spread off up and down this little path here. And when she crosses, catch her. Whoever catches her, start on her and go to hollering so the next one get there and take his turn. But that dog was so smart, she'd be running that fox every breath, and she'd get about 200 yards from you and shut up. And you'd be standing there just waiting. And then she'd be around behind you barking. She'd sneak around you and go back running him again. But she knows you was there. She'd shut up and sneak around you. And I said, a dog that's got enough sense to do that. It's got no sense to know she ain't supposed to do that.
Well, yeah. That prey drive just is so strong in a hound. They want to catch something. They just, this old pup I've got here, I call him Boo. Well, his name's Ghost. And he's up there at Taylorsville now.
How old is he, Steve?
He is just turned 15 months old. And he's been doing real good. I've been bragging and blowing and going about him. And he treated a coon before he was 5 months old out to White River.
Right.
But then I brought him back to Florida and just kind of put him on the shelf for a while. I took him out when I could get a chance to go with these boys down here. But I thought he'd kind of slid back on his treeing a little bit. He kind of wanted to just be out there roaming around looking for stuff, and sent him up to Mark, and boy, he just kind of snapped right back into the program, He ran a couple deer up there, caught a couple skunks, just being a kid before he's a year old. But I sure am liking him, Jim. I think he's going to be a good one.
Boy, that's good.
Yeah, he opens
He sounds
quicker
good.
on the ground.
A couple of videos you put on there.
Huh?
I said a couple of videos you put on there. He sounds good.
Yeah, he's loud. He really is, and an old man needs a loud dog, sometimes. Although, my hearing is still pretty good. How about you?
Well, I can hear, but no, I don't hear real good. I can, it's certain sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I got a dog that I can hear good, but when she just sounds fair to me, other people say, boy, she's ringing the woods, and to me, she just, sounds okay, but she's got a tone, and everybody knows when you take him hearing tests, I hear things that you don't hear, and you hear things I don't. It's just a different tone, but she's got a tone that I can hear and I can pick out, but them dogs, and my old dog I had before this, he had a big old beautiful mouth, but it was kind of a flat mouth. And it sounded good, and up close you'd think he just rocked the woods, but way in there I had to really listen hard to hear him. And,
it's
and everybody
funny how
else says, he sounds good to me, but just my hearing, I didn't hear it good.
Well, my issues are not, I can hear a dog. Seem like I can hear one that's about as good as I ever could.
Yeah.
But if I'm sitting watching TV and all, half the time I can't understand what they're saying.
Right.
I can hear the volume is not the issue. It's the wavelengths, I guess, and all,
Yeah.
But, well, thank God we can at least hear enough to get out there and enjoy it. And we're recording a podcast, so we must be able to hear fairly good.
Do it pretty good up close anyway.
That's right, up close. Well, hey, man, I saw speaking of Facebook, because we got to get off them old plot dogs. I'll go to blowing and going here, and that's all we'll get done. I see you got a pup there, or a young dog or something that looked pretty good, pretty pup. What's going on there?
I raised that litter of pup. Well, Tom Gilroy raised that litter of pups for me. I had a little bit of a health problem, and I bred her to his dog, and he took her back up there to raise them pups for me.
No, that's the cane dog that he's got, right?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so he raised them pups, done a good job, and
I don't think Tom does anything very bad.
No, that rascal's 100%.
He is.
But if I was into getting dogs, I'd try to pay him to raise them for me. But he raised them pups and brought them down, and I picked me out a couple, and I picked a male and a female. And I mess with pups a whole bunch. I love pups. I don't even know why I keep an old dog. But I had the male, he was treeing squirrels around here. He's about 3.5 months old. And I ain't talking about treeing hang-ups. I'm talking about he was treeing squirrels. But you don't see a whole lot of squirrels with little hound puppies because I don't do a lot of sight work. I want them treeing like if he was coon hunting, I want treeing the scent,
Yeah.
So a lot of times they tree where the squirrel climbed. He might be 100 yards down there in the nest asleep time you get there. But they tree enough squirrels that you see to make it worthwhile. But anyway, the male, he got a beautiful mouth, and I mean a beautiful tree dog. And he started treeing about 3.5 months old. And the female, she'd jump all over the tree and whine, but she never barked. And I took her by herself. She was just a little bit past 4 months old. And first time I took her by herself, she treed. And then
how about that?
They ain't never seen a coon. I got a hide off a coon that was dead in the road. And I laid, I think,
he's one of them Himalayan coons.
There you go, Himalayan out there in the road.
You find Himalayan in the road.
But I skinned him, and I let him smell the hide and all. And I laid a little short, easy track, and they treated it. And she was there with him. And then I laid a real hard track, and he treated it. And then I just got rid of that. Well, I've had a few health problems. So I hadn't hunted my female since spring. And these pups has never been with an old dog. They've never been around no other dogs. And when they was one day before they was 5 months old, I was squirrel hunting them and they treated a coon in the daytime. They don't know what it was. I didn't, I left it in the tree, and I wouldn't have shot it out if I'd had a gun because I didn't want to eat them up.
Yeah.
Well, I continued to take them out in the daytime just to have something to do. And I took the female, and never been out at night. I took her out about 2 weeks ago, something like that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and took her out at night. First time she ever been in the woods at night, and she treated a coon. And then I took him out one night, and the man that lets me hunt's dog come down there and was trying to play with him, and also I put him in the truck and come home. But anyway, I let a good friend of mine, Chuck Fonville, have the mail. And just like I told him, the only way the dog will leave here is if somebody comes and goes hunting with him. Because when you leave here, you know what he's doing. If it takes a little while to get used to you, it's no problem.
Yeah.
But that dog, anybody could have come to him. He loves everybody. Got a beautiful mouth, beautiful tree dog, pressure. He don't care about nothing. He ain't never been in a swamp. He ain't never been out at night but that one few minutes. And he's just been a daytime dog. But I couldn't leave 3 dogs. I can't leave 2, really. But I kept her, and then the next time I took her out at night, I took her last week, and there's a lot of bears up there where I go. And I took her last week, and I turned out, and she's just like a rat on drugs. I'm that thing wide open hunting all the time with that tail. It looks like a hopped up bird dog.
Yeah.
And I turned loose, and the old dog smelled something. And she went over and smelled it, and she dropped that tail between them legs. And she went to sneaking around there, and she never left me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the old dog went hunting, made a big hunt, never struck nothing. So I took her last night by herself, and she treated 2.
Now, how old is she now?
She was 9 months old Monday.
No,
but now they treated the first coon the day before they turned 5 months old. But I've messed with her squirrel hunter. She does pretty good on that. But the first coon, I didn't see him. I'm pretty sure it was a coon. And it's a big old leafy tree. And if they ain't got flashers on their hands and stand up waving flags at me, I can't see them. But the second coon, she went in there and she run him a little bit and treat. He was sitting up there looking at you like a possum.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and she never seen a coon. I don't think she's ever had knocked out a squirrel. And a little squirrel hits the ground, he just says poop.
Yeah.
Well, I tied her back because I didn't want to take a chance of it eating her up. And I tied her back. And when I knocked that coon out, he fell over there about 10 foot from it, scared her half to death. Of course, if I was standing there wasn't expecting it and something fell out of a tree, weighed half as much as I did, I'd probably get excited too.
Absolutely.
but as soon as it was still kicking, I turned her loose and she run over there and smelled it and pinched at it, but she didn't grab it like I thought she would.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
that was
know if he
a
took the
new
male dog yet
experience
or not.
Yeah, that was a new experience and a whole lot bigger than a squirrel.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Well, listen, we can't talk about the dog without talking about the bloodline, and I know you and Tom have discussed that about every way it could be discussed, I'm sure. But what's her background, Jim?
Well, she's probably as close up to about all my old dogs as anything around. The cane dog is her daddy, and I started him here on squirrels, and he was 3.5, 4 months old. He treated him squirrels, and I had 2 of them here, and the other one didn't do a whole lot, but he didn't care. He sat there and treated, and you could do all you want. You could beat on trees, do anything you want to. He was locked down when he treated. And but I couldn't coon hunt him. I took him coon hunting one time, and the mama dog treated an old rough track, and he went in there to her and smelled around, but he didn't tree or nothing. And then I let Tom have him, and anything he's made as far as a coon dog, Tom's done all that. But he's off of Dave and Tom's old dog, which was off of my Kurt dog, and they're as close up to all Champ and all them dogs, and got it in their pedigree as many times as anything out there, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
The mama dog, she's I want to get this right. She's a grand pup to the Willie dog, and she's a grand pup to Big D, and she's a grand pup to Bone Collector, and she's got a bunch of this stock that I've had back there 3 or 4 generations. She got a whole bunch of it back in there, and but up close, she's more that the modern dog. But a lot of them dogs has got this stuff in their own back there, you know.
Oh yeah.
But the sire side, she's real heavy.
Yeah. Well, we talked about her, I think, the last time we visited on here.
Yeah.
And she's just exceptionally well bred by your standards and by today's standards. You know, you mentioned dogs right there, Willie and Big D and Bone Collector and all. Man, that's, you know, those dogs are producers, you know.
And she's got I believe her grandmother on her mama's side, I can't think of that female's name, Rick Carmichael, I believe, won the world hunt with her. I believe she's won the world hunt a time or two, which that don't make her no better dog than if she had never seen a hunt, you know. But people like them titles, and that don't hurt them. But I like the dog. She suits me, but she don't hunt. She don't hunt like that stuff they're hunting today, which if she did, I wouldn't be able to keep her and hunt her because I couldn't hunt nothing like that where I hunt, you know. And I'm not cutting them down. Obviously, they're coon dogs. And but I just couldn't hunt a dog. Now, when I lived down east, I had dogs that went, you know. But they didn't have to. They was coons somewhere in that swamp, and they could find one. But you get up here where coons are scarce and there's little patches of woods, either that or they got to go up to the parkway up there somewhere. And I sure don't want to walk up there to the parkway from down here.
No, sir. No, sir. When I hunted over there in Jefferson, no, not Jefferson County, over by West Jefferson over there in Ashe County, we went hunting one night with a fella, and we was hunting right under the parkway. The dogs, in fact, I'm not so sure that the dogs didn't get up on the parkway at one time or another. Of course, there's not much traffic on it at night. In fact, I'm not sure if you can even travel it at night. I don't know if it's legal, but anyway, yeah. No, you don't want to be taking those kind of walks for sure.
No, when I lived there in Charlotte, I used to go up in that area hunting some West Jefferson, up in there in Jefferson, anything above Wilkesboro.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even fun then.
No, sir. I've
had
a knack
they can get in there where there ain't no driving around, you know.
To love coon
there's
hunting.
places in there you got to go from where you turn loose at.
Yeah. Well, to love coon hunting like I do, and I have all my life, went from one of the worst places in the world to coon hunting to one of the very best. And lived up there in Michigan for nearly 22 years. And then I don't know what happened to me. I go to Raleigh, North Carolina. Coon hunting's terrible around Raleigh.
Yeah.
It really is. And then I go over into Ashe County and I hunt them Christmas tree farms. They're straight up and down. They plant those trees on the steepest hills they can find. And I hunted that, and then lo and behold, I really went, I believe, to the worst coon hunting in the United States. I can't imagine anywhere it'd be worse than maybe Central Park in Manhattan, New York. And that's here in Florida. So, you know, it just doesn't make sense, but I do.
At least Central Park, the woods is clear.
Yeah. Well, I had a trip planned for this week. In fact, I announced on the podcast that's airing this week as we're recording this, that I was going to Randy Smith's in Pennsylvania this week.
Yeah.
And we'll send condolences up to the Smith family. Randy's mother, Shirley, passed away this week, just
I saw that.
a couple days here before you and I are recording. What a wonderful lady, just a real sweet lady. A dairy farmer's wife, raised 4 boys, and if you know Randy, the others are just as hard-headed as he is. And but just a terrific family. And so with that happening, we postponed the trip. So I'm going to go in another couple of weeks. I'll be up there the first week in November instead. But anyway, so I was hoping to get in a good week of coon hunting this week. But now Randy lives in the hills, and it's not flat Midwestern country up there where he lives.
Right.
But he raised in that country, and being a farmer's kid and all, he knows everybody. And he's got a business there, that also, I'm sure, opens up a lot of doors for him. So he's got a lot of hunting, but it's not easy. But, man, he's got some nice dogs, though, Jimmy. Mm.
Yeah, I like what I've seen when they show the videos of them.
Yeah, they're just a real pleasure to hunt. They sure are. All business, cut them loose. They're sinking in the dark, and that's what I'm liking about my pup. That I've had to take a couple partners on him because that's the only way I can hunt a dog anymore, Jim.
Right.
I can't just keep one myself and do it justice. Especially you and I know you got to hunt one, especially dog.
That's the spot I'm at. That's the reason I let the male dog go. I said, well, I can't hunt one good enough for it to even remember what it did the last time. So I know I can't hunt 3. And I didn't want him sitting out here in the pen going to waste.
Yeah.
Well,
you did right by the dog. And, that's what I've always tried to do. It would hurt me. That's a word my mother always used. Something would hurt her. She meant it bothered her. It concerned her. To have a young dog sitting out there in the kennel and not hunting it, man, to me that's the biggest waste in the world.
Well, the way I look at that, this like the cane dog. Tom gave him to me when he was a puppy, and I gave him right back to him. I'm real bad. People's bad about giving me puppies, and I'm bad about letting them have them back. And people say, well, you're crazy. You could have sold that puppy. I said, well, that ain't the deal. I just like to fool with puppies. But when I let Chuck have the male pup, Chuck, I worked with Chuck about 15 years. He's a good man, and he's a good hunter, and he got plenty of hunting.
This is Chuck who? What's his last name?
Chuck Fonville.
Okay.
Chuck Fonville. He lives down, he actually lives in North Myrtle Beach, but I always call it Tabor City.
Okay.
And he's a good hunter. He knows a dog. He used to hunt dogs for Buck Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
And he hunted with me and all the Hammond boys, and all of us worked together. And he's a good hunter. And he's a man of his word. He does what he says he's going to do, and he's good. And he takes care of what he's got. And I said, well, I had a bunch of people that wanted that dog, and I said, but I know if the dog goes there, he's going to be took care of.
Number one. That's
number one, and he's going to get a chance. If he don't make a coon dog, it's going to be his own fault.
Yeah.
Chuck's got a whole bunch of hunting. He's got plenty of coons where he hunts, and he's got a good dog to hunt with, and he's got his brother and his cousin and his nephew, and all of them just wild about hunting. Yeah. So he's got some young guys that hit it,
Oh, yeah, that's great. It sounds like the perfect setup.
Dog's going to a good place. That was the main thing.
Yeah. Well, he's the one you said is real loud.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, my pens is right here off the end of the garage, and I feed the squirrels. Now, I start pups on squirrels. The reason I do, people take a puppy out there, and they got a big old 15-pound boar coon in a cage there, screaming and hollering and slamming the cage, wanting to fight. And they said, well, you wouldn't even bark at him, you scared him. I said, well, yeah, if I was out there and a 500-pound gorilla was out there trying to kill me, I wouldn't want to bother him either. But a squirrel, he'll run back and forth in that live trap wide open, that big old tail flopping, and he's little. They ain't scared of him.
Yeah.
And I've got squirrels out here all the time. So I start them on squirrels. And I started him on squirrel. Well, them squirrels raised behind my dog pen. And there's a cherry tree right over my dog pen.
Uh-oh.
And them squirrels sitting up under them cherry trees, and them dogs treat every day, over in the evening especially. And he had treated so much he was starting to get hoarse.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a bark collar on him and shut him down. And his mouth hadn't come back all the way. I mean, it's come back pretty good, but he's got that clear ringing mouth down there in that flat water. If he don't never get no more mouth back, he's going to ring them swamps. But what I really liked about him when we was hunting, he struck in there, and Chuck said, "What's that?" I said, "That's your dog." He said, "Really?" Yeah, I think he was excited with just what it was there.
Awesome.
You know? And
did you ever hunt with Frank's cord dog?
Yeah, I hunted several nights with Cord.
Cord had that ringing mouth like that.
Yeah, he was a tree dog.
Yeah, man.
I hunted with him up there. It was so hot. I don't know how the dog treed. He treed just like if it was 20 degrees.
Yeah, boy.
I went up there several times and hunted with Frank, and me and Robbie hunted together several times. And I will say this: I've never seen Frank turn a dog loose that didn't get in there and tree coons.
Yeah. Me either, and I hunted with him several times.
And some beautiful hunting. I mean, he's got fantastic hunting.
Yeah. It's been about 3 years now, I guess, since Randy Smith and I went up and hunted a couple nights with Frank and Rob, and hunted with Alan Snedeker and Beth, baked us pies, and those Kiefer boys there that they hunt with there.
It's probably been 20 years or better since I've been up there.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get to go back, Jimmy, because that's just Frank is an amazing guy, and he's I don't even like to say it, but he's not going to be here forever. None of us are. And if anybody out there in the sound of my voice gets a chance to go hunting with Frank Giddings, you owe it to yourself to go.
Well, it's a lifetime memory if you go. And if you don't want to go hunting, you don't need to go up there.
That's right.
Because you ain't going to turn out once or twice, sit around the house and talk about dogs.
No, that one night, I think it was the last night we were there, I had this dog I called Cruz I got from Randy Smith as a puppy. And
I remember that dog.
Frank hunted him for a couple months for me up there.
Yeah.
And anyway, we got through about 2:00. Everybody else, and Frank was going to drive back home. It was about, I guess, a couple hours from his place, back up to Muskegon up there where he lives, and he was going to turn loose a couple drops on the way back home. He said, 80-some years old, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what a great guy.
I told you before, when I went up there, me and Gordon Gilroy went up, and the time I'm fixing to tell you about, me and Jim and Harley McConnell who went up.
Mm-hmm.
And we came back in, it was breaking daylight. We've been hunting since dark. And we come in, and Frank said, well, y'all go ahead and get you some rest. I'm going to take this young dog out and cut him out for one. I said, I'll go with you. He said, no, you don't need. I said, no, I'm going with you. So we went out and turned him loose. The dog treed a coon, and we was standing fixing to go to him. The school bus come by. I said, I know I was in a smart community. They still had people going to school.
Oh, yeah, man. Somebody needs to write a book about the life and times of Frank Giddings, because he has just been an icon in our sport, and he's a knowledgeable coon hunter, and he's bred a lot of good dogs over the years, and I know the background that a lot of those dogs went back to you.
Well, another thing, it ain't just like there's 2 or 3 of his good buddies spreading good words about him. It's everybody that's ever been up there around him, When everybody's, it don't matter who you are, if you're doing real good, somebody's going to talk junk about you. And when they're not talking junk about you, there's got to be something there,
I don't think there's a coon hunter. There's 2 things. If a guy were to stand in a crowd and say anything bad about Frank Giddings, 1 or 2 things. He either absolutely doesn't know what he's talking about or has never hunted with Frank, or 2, he's just a bald-faced liar. That's all I could say.
And 3, he's probably fixing to get his tail whooped from some of Frank's friends that's standing close by.
Exactly. He's very revered. I don't know anybody in the sport. And I'm so proud. When I started this podcast, when it opens up, you hear a truck coming down the road and stops on the gravel and the window rolls down. And somebody says, "Where's Fielder?" Well, that's Rob Giddings.
Yeah.
And the other voice says, "Well, he's gone to the dogs." Well, that's Frank.
That's right.
And they were so gracious to, record that for me. Just the voices, and of course Buddy Woodbury out there and W Supply put the whole thing together, or his people did. But a real honor, and just so glad to know him and got to hunt with some of those great dogs. I never hunted with old Rock River Ring. Did you?
No, I didn't hunt with Ring.
No, I hunted with Junior, and the litter mate that Howard had. I think he wasn't a litter mate to Junior, but
no,
Howard had the Jake dog.
Yeah, Jake was Ring's. I believe that was Ring's sire, or maybe Ring was off of him. He was off of Ring, or Ring was off of him, one or the other.
Well, the other dogs that I hunted with up there was the brothers to Sackett Jr., like the Huck dog and the one he sold to Harley McConnell.
They were off of Sackett Jr.
Yeah, they were out.
South.
That's right. They were off Sackett Jr. That's correct.
Yeah, I hunted with several of them, and all of them that I hunted with, the Frank dog Harley had, and the Tuck dog, and the one Howard had, I forgot what he called him.
Jethro. Jethro, I believe.
Jethro. Yeah. All them dogs did good. Mm-hmm. And then when he bred again, I hunted with Tail Sackett.
Yeah.
And I had a litter mate sister, a Tail Sackett. Buster Brick got her from Frank when she was a puppy, and Buster's a real good friend of mine. And he had a full sister, the Champ, and he bred her to my Chico dog, and then he took a female off of that, and that was his start of his bloodline. But anyway, he got that dog. He called her Hope, and boy, she was a real dog. And I loved that dog. And he bred her to a dog that I got. It was a blood brother to my Chico dog. Called him Rattler. Nathan Ed's told me about him. He was a big old dog. They had the same daddy that was off of Tar Rattler, and their mamas was litter mate sisters. Well, Buster bred Hope to him. And I never charged him no breeding or nothing. It is if he wanted to breed, he bred or whatever. But I was up there visiting, and he had her and them puppies, and he just almost forced me to take a puppy. And I had always liked Hope, and she was 5 or 6 years old. Well, Buster hunts them pups. He loves it. And he was pushing a couple of young dogs there. And when I got ready to go, he told me pick one of them pups. And I said, nah, well, he will pick one. So I just got one, put it in the truck, and he come over and put Hope in the truck. I said, what are we doing? He said, well, you always wanted her. I said, well, I can't afford her right now. He said, well, your friendship ought to be plenty. And he just gave her to me, and I kept her. She died. And I raised a litter of pups off of her, and they did real good too. But she was a real dog. And I hunted with Tail Sackett. Yeah. He wasn't as classy or fancy as a couple of other ones, but that was a real coon dog.
Yeah, he
dog.
was hunting with Frank and Rob were hunting tail with Junior the night Junior got killed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in fact, Tail got across the highway and Junior didn't. Yeah.
Old Tail, he could run a track. He was a nice dog. I liked him. Well, I liked all them dogs off of that crossing.
He was a little slimmer made dog than
he wasn't blocky made like Tuck and them dogs.
Yeah. Well, Rob's got one he calls Tail now that he likes a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when you start talking about Frank Giddings and Rob and Jim Meeks and people like this, you're talking about the upper, in my view, this old man's view. And I've been to a few coon hunts and walked behind a few dogs over the years. You're talking about the upper echelon of coon hunters and the foundation of what we have today. And even at my age, I'm 79 now, when I go up to Michigan and get to go hunting with Frank, sure, he's just such a great guy. I love spending time with him. But I still feel that respect, for what he's been able to accomplish over the years. And just his toughness alone. I mean, if it gets dark, Frank goes hunting,
I appreciate you saying that about me.
Well, Jim, it's absolute truth.
One thing I can say about Frank, not just because he's an every night coon hunter and because he's got outstanding dogs and done outstanding breeding, but the way Frank carries himself and the way he handles himself and the way he treats other people. I mean, he don't go out there bullying around, I'm the greatest. You wouldn't even know he had ever been with a good dog just to be around him. But he just carries himself with so much pride and stuff, And Robbie does.
Robbie's
me and Robbie just went hunting. I hunted with him when he was still in school. He was just like a grown up then. He's you can tell when people's got respect for themselves and for others, and that whole family has. His wife was just as nice to me as if it was my mom or my sister, She treated me just like I felt like I was at home when I was up there. And that means a lot. And when you go somewhere and people treat you that way, when you go home, you tell other people, and that gets you as much business in the breeding world as probably as the dogs do,
Absolutely, and the younger people and new to the sport or whatever your aspirations are in this game of coon hunting, listen to Jim. All the huffing and puffing and blowing and arguing and posturing and doing all the things you can to win. You think you got to win every time. That's not going to gain you the status of a Frank Giddings in this game. In fact, I don't know if anybody will ever fully attain that reputation, but you've got it too, Jim. Don't be shy.
I agree with you on him.
But I
always when I had a dog stud, I always tried to take people hunting, and I never had nothing, but I tell people, if you're coming to get a puppy or you're coming to breed, put in some extra time and go hunting with me. And then instead of when people say what you bred to, well, they say. You don't have to say they say. Good or bad, you can say you went with him and what he did. And I said, if you like the dog and if you like the way he works, you'll think a lot more of them puppies, and you'll give that puppy more of a chance than you would if you were just reading ads, And I always tried to get people to come and go hunting when they came. And the majority of them would. Some of them just didn't have time. Some of them didn't want to hit it. But it also showed what kind of hunter you were. You can tell if you go hunting with a man when everything gets down and dirty, you can tell what kind of man he is pretty quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's what I'll say about my buddy there in North Carolina, Mark Miller. He'll take you hunting anytime you want to go. We've got a dog there that we like him, and And that's all. We're the only ones that have to like him, We're
There you
feeding him.
go.
But he'll definitely take you hunting with the dog, and let you make your own decisions. But we don't have that dog for the stud business. That wasn't the reason why. Mark loves these events. He loves to go to night hunts and field trials and water races and every kind of thing. He'll put him in a dash race, a treeing contest.
Well, like you said, he loves it. That's
He
what he
loves
likes.
it. He loves the dog, and it just does me so much good to see him enjoying it. And you can tell in this game where the jealousy is and where the envy is, and it's in our sport. We can't do anything about it. It's always going to be there.
No.
And all, but it's just a part of it. But it's kind of comical sometimes because really, I bet you if you had old Tom or Jeff or Champ or who knows what all, Chico, you'd want people to come and see your dog, if you got something you're proud of,
I tried my best to get them to come and hunt with them.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, that's just like when I was hunting Jeff. I was hunting Champ. Well, Jeff had cancer the last 2 or 3 years of his life. I still hunted him. If anybody come to hunt, I'd hunt him. But I was hunting Champ. Champ, a little old puppy, and he's out there in that swimming water. And I hunted in a lot of places. If you talk to all the people you can talk to that came and hunted with me when I lived down in the east, they'll 90% of them will tell you they never heard another dog the whole time we was hunting. Because I hunted some places that nobody hunted, but there was coons there. It was bad, but there was coons there, and the bad didn't bother me. And I had many of people come there just no way in the world would you hunt there, But they would come down, and Champ, I'm not going to blow him up. He was a real dog. And
it ain't bragging if you can do it, Jim.
Well, but people would come down to look at Jeff or breathe to Jeff, and I just throw Champ in there. And Champ didn't run around and follow Jeff. I mean, he's 7, 8, 9 months old. He's out there treeing coons all over the place. And people would go home, and I'd have people call me and say, well, so-and-so said they come down and hunt. I said, that little pup you have treating them coons? I said, yeah. Well, you breed him? I said, I won't start breeding him until he's 2 years old. And then they would come to breed him. Well, they would come to breed him. Chico the puppy. Well, I'll take Chico. He would just split tree all over the woods, and they'd go home, and that word of mouth actually bred more dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Than all the ads you could run.
Sure it does.
And
yeah.
But I just always liked messing with puppies, and I've had several that done good, and I've had some that didn't do as good. But
sure, I have
the
too.
The ones that suited me died with me.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones, I let them go somewhere else.
Well, sometimes you do the dog a favor. If you don't really like the dog, everything about it, well, you're never going to find one you're going to like everything, I think. But
if you like him, you'll put up with twice as much.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything about him you don't like, everything he does wrong is twice as bad.
Yeah.
And so you actually get to hating him if you ain't careful. But I've got rid of dogs that probably made as good of dogs or maybe better than some of the ones I kept, but I hunted with them later. But they never would have suited me for whatever made me get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just what I was looking for. And I got rid of some that would have suited me, but at the time I had more than I needed, and I just didn't need them. You can't keep them all.
Well, yeah, and that's it, exactly. And it's not like this litter of puppies is going to be born is the last one that'll ever be born,
Yeah.
And it's a process, and I've tried a few puppies over the last 3 or 4 years that for one reason or another didn't suit, Of course, I'm getting the information through my friends that are hunting them for me,
Right.
I hunted with them, but not, enough to make a much judgment. But, a pup's got I don't know, we could make a list, but a pup's got to be a tree dog. And they need to be accurate. I don't want them 50% tree dog. You know, I don't know how you feel about that, Jimmy, but
well, I can sit here, and I got a neighbor that walks about 5 o'clock every evening down this road, and she I can't think of the word. She takes dogs from the dog pound and keeps them.
she rescues dogs.
No, she don't rescue. She just gets them, and I can't think of the word. She just gets them and gets them friendly and all that stuff, and then carries them back.
Socializes them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she'll be walking, leading them bulldogs and stuff up and down the road. And if I just want to hear a dog bark, mine bark every time she comes down the road. And I don't have to walk in there to see that they ain't got nothing. But that darn walking me in there to nothing, I ain't handling a whole lot of that. What gets me, though, them boys will go in there and they'll see that tree as slick as a light pole, and they'll be in there patting that tree, blowing that squaller, hiking the dog, and patting the dog. And I'm thinking, you can see he ain't got nothing in the tree. Why are you hiking him up? That don't make sense to me.
No. Would you rather see one of the tree slick or a tree opossum?
I'd rather see a tree opossum. And since you brought that up, I told my hunting buddy, which I hadn't hunted with him in a while. I've had some little things going on I hadn't been able to, but I told him I want him to get me. He told me his yard dog killed a possum in the yard last week or something, and the hounds killed one in the dog pen. And I've had that happen over the years several times. And I told him, well, if you get a fresh possum, if you got somewhere to keep him cool, call me, I'll come and get him. I said, but I'd like you to catch me a live one. And he said, well, what you going to do? I said, I'm going to get him out here with this puppy and this mama dog and get them rascals treeing them possums, because I don't hunt in the hunts. I like to hear them tree. I want something to be in the tree. And if you let them tree possums like I did when I was coming up, you got twice as much chance of treeing something tonight. You don't have to walk as far, and most of the time you can find the possum. And if they go to slick treeing on possums, you know you need to get rid of him.
That's right.
So, but most time a dog trees a possum. When I was coming up, our dog would trail a possum just like he'd trail a coon. They'd open on the trail and trail him wherever he went and tree him.
Yeah.
And now, most of the time, a dog trees a possum, he just slams into him, and bams him up a tree. Yeah. You don't see many of them that'll run one or trail one.
I had a Walker female when I lived in Michigan. She come down out of Frank's dog. She was out of that Silver Dollar Stone dog. Yeah. And he was out of Rock River Stone. And
right.
all, but she's a young dog, and she started fairly early. Lindell Price and I bought her together. Back then, it was pretty salty price. We gave $1,000 for that pup.
Right.
But we were on halves on her, And Lindell said, well, she didn't open quite enough on track for him, and did I want to buy her his half, and I did. And but anyway, everybody out there in the sound of my voice really need to be in prayer for Lindell. He's going through some real issues with his health.
Oh man,
he's suffering dementia, and and it's really hard on his family and all. And there's just no finer fella in the country than
that's a good man.
Lindell. To me, he and I spent as my mother would say, many a night in the timber. He came every fall to hunt with me. And for several years that I was in Michigan. But anyway, just remember Lindell in your prayers.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
But anyway, Kelly, we called this female, and she would get treed. Boy, she'd slam a tree so quick, and just you think, boy, there's 225, and she'd quit and leave it, and then she'd go about seemed like in the same woods, not that far, and then she'd get treed, and you go to her, and she'd have a coon. And I couldn't figure out what she's doing until snow got on the ground, and I figured it out. She's treeing possums and leaving them.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have to get hard after her, just mainly scolded her. I may have given her a little bit of electricity a time or two.
Well, you could have shook them out to her and petted her up and got her to stay.
Yeah.
That's my viewpoint.
Oh, I got you. Well, she was quick. I loved that little gal. Boy, she made a nice dog. But, yeah. Well, we had this discussion the other night, Mark and I and Cody, this young fella that lives not far from Mark. He grew up on a farm and loves dogs, loves hunting, cuts trees for a living. I don't know exactly what all, and runs some kind of machine. But anyway, old Boo treed the other night, this ghost pup we call him Boo. And he treed and couldn't find anything right up over his head, but about 3 trees over there was a possum. Well, Mark said, well, he's treeing that possum. No, he ain't treeing that possum. He's like, that was the worst thing you could possibly do is tree that possum, you know. And I said, no, he's probably treeing that possum if you didn't find nothing else in there.
It's amazing how they're smart enough to move over, though.
Yeah, they do that too. You wonder if they're thinking, you know, they did wrong. I don't know. Most of my possum troubles with dogs, they kind of took care of themselves, seemed like.
Yeah.
They'd tree them a little bit. If you didn't, you just scold them and switch their backside a little bit and lead them off, you know, or maybe not even that. But, yeah, well, my dad, that's all they had to tree when he's a boy coming up. Every once in a while, they'd tree a coon, you know. But they had a lot of fun for 2 farm kids growing up in Middle Tennessee in the Great Depression. They had 2 cur dogs that would tree or run a tree about anything that had fur on it, and they had a great childhood, you know, being able to do that. And to me, that's worth a fortune right there.
Well, we just hunted old mixed up dogs, and we rabbit hunted them, and they'd tree squirrels in the daytime and tree a possum in a stump or something, and we possum hunt them at night.
Yeah.
And we thought we was having fun. We'd all go out there, and we was laughing and cutting up and running to the tree, taking turns climbing, and just having a ball. And then I was getting a collar made at a place one day, and there was a coon hunt magazine laying there. When I opened the front page, shoot, I can't even think of the old black man.
Bill Boatman?
Original black. No.
Oh, Hans Wagner.
There. Yeah. Them boys had an ad on Bloodworth. Joe Bloodworth. He had a full-page ad there with them dogs on it, the slobbers running down his shoulders, and I'd never seen nothing like it in my life. And I tried to buy that magazine. That man said, just take it with you. Somebody left it here, and I must have read it 1,000 times. And ever since then, we got to reading about them hunts and the World Championship and them big old $1 million dogs. And we thought we was having fun, and we did that. We didn't know how stupid we was. All that time we followed them dogs laughing and playing. We just thought we was having a good time.
Well, you were having a good time, and, you know, and that's unfortunately a lot of guys go into it nowadays. You know, if they don't win the hunt, they've had a terrible time. You know.
Yeah.
But you bring up a subject there that we're losing all of our magazines, Jim.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Cooner, of course, we know it went by the wayside, and UKC's now announced that they're not going to be publishing Coonhound Bloodlines anymore.
Is that right?
Yeah, they announced.
When they supposed to quit?
The end of the year.
Okay.
And what they've got another, they bought out a bird dog registry called American Field out of Chicago. And there's a publication there that's been a bird dog magazine for years called the American Field. And what they're going to do, I guess, is publish that 4 times a year. It's a real glossy, fancy thing, and they're going to put coonhound stuff in that, along with the bird dog stuff. And I guess it's supposed to be for all working dog, hunting
all
dogs.
dog people. Yeah.
Do you remember at all the old hunting dog magazine they had for a while years ago?
Oh, I remember it, but I can't place it down. When you said that hunting dog, I remember that.
Yeah, I think Bill Boatman had part to do with it back in those days and all, and it was kind of an all hounds, bird dogs, beagles, foxhounds, the whole bit. But, so I guess that's what they're trying to do. And then Full Cry has been having some struggles here lately with getting the magazine out because they live in a remote area over there in Oregon.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of forest fires and a lot of stuff going on this summer. And so they've gotten behind in the last issue or two. So it's just not a good time to have a coon dog magazine.
You can get on the internet and advertise for free, and people ain't going to spend money when they don't have to. But personally, there's just something about having that paperwork there that I'm reading it off of that page. Mm-hmm. I digest it more. I remember it more. It seems like it means more to me. Yeah. And I like to see them ads in there. But, I showed my wife, I think it was a 1990 Full Cry, somewhere in the 90s Full Cry, and it had 200 and something pages in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot, I counted how many advertisements were in it, and I forgot, but it was way up there.
Yeah.
And then I showed her one of the recent ones that, just thin as nothing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But I looked forward to that magazine coming, and I would read everything I could when it come, and I'd read that thing over. Even like the Full Cry when it comes down, I'll read everything in there over 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
I do, but I like that part of it, and I like looking forward to it coming. It's nice to see who won the World Hunt last night and see the Final Four and see the video, but there was something more exciting to it when there was one World Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to wait for the magazine to come to find out who won it, unless you knew somebody went to it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, all the years that I wrote articles, and I wrote a bunch of them, I know you did too, but when I would go to proofread an article, I would print it out. Of course, I typed them on the computer. But I would print out that article and sit down with a pen and proofread that article, hold it in my hands and read it. Because I wanted to read it just like the people were going to be reading it, And there's definitely a different feel, to reading a hard copy of something than there is just seeing it on the screen.
Steve, you're so far ahead of time you don't even know it. I never typed or did anything. I hand wrote every column I ever wrote.
and
mailed them in. And I did the same thing. When I get through, I'd go back through it and straighten out the screw ups. But even when they took over Full Cry, they told me, said, we'd like, if you could send some articles in, we'd be glad to print them, and we will personally redo your handwritten articles. I forgot how they worded it, but just send them in just like I had done before. Yeah, and they would do that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm so far behind. I was still doing the handwriting and everything.
Well, that's kind of an evolution, and I guess the good Lord kind of looks after us. When I was in high school, it came to the senior year, and I needed an elective. I had enough hours to graduate, but I needed to elect some course to finish out, my schedule.
Right.
Well, the only thing I could find was a typing class. And, of course, that wasn't too bad because it was all girls. When I was a senior in high school, that wasn't a bad gig, And I had to stay an extra hour in the evening where I normally would have gone home earlier. But anyway, so I took typing. We had the old manual typewriters. Then when I went in the military and I got my job description and all that stuff, and I learned that I was going to have to know how to type. So they sent me to a typing school, a class, So that kind of helped me. I already had a grip on it, but that, and then I go to UKC and find out that they're wanting me to write these articles for Coonhound Bloodlines magazine. So I have to sit down and type them, and we use those electric typewriters. It's called an IBM Selectric, and you used correction tape. So when you made a mistake, if you typed an R instead of an A, you had to go put the tape over it, type the letter that you typed wrong, type that R, and that would blank it out, then type the A. I went through rolls of that stuff when I first went to.
Well, if you made as many mistakes as I do, or if you had to type the way I type right now, you wouldn't even have no fingers on your right and left hand. Your forefinger would be up to your wrist.
Well,
hitting all them buttons.
I
still have to look for the letter. As much as I've done that little bit, I still have to look for the letter every time. I know in general which direction it is, but I still have to look for each letter, and I got that one finger. I can't do it with my left finger. I have to do it with my right finger, so it takes me a while to do something.
On the typewriter, and it's the same on this laptop that's sitting right in front of me right now, the middle row horizontally there, they call it the home row. And I can remember that typing teacher say, fingers on the home row, ready, begin, and you put your four fingers on the first four letters up to the left and the first four letters on the right, and then the two in the middle were there. You reach over and hit them, with your index finger. It's amazing after as many years as I've typed, it's just second nature. You just, your mind just your finger just goes to that key. But anyway, I don't know how we got off on typing. That's a rabbit track that we run there. But reel us in there for sure. Well, Jim, we got about an hour and 12 minutes. These people been listening to my old gravelly voice, but I'm sure glad. I'm glad you got a new, a young one there that you're liking. And
I'll spend a little bit of time with her here.
Is it cooling down a little bit in your way where you can
get out and enjoy? It's getting down. That's supposed to get down, I think, 40 tonight and 37 tomorrow night.
Well, that's
but
great.
It's getting up in the low to mid 60s in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
But it was awful humid the first of the week there when I went Monday night. It was pure. It wasn't hot, but it was humid.
Yeah.
And
sweating and are your mosquitoes still bad?
Well, I don't have any mosquitoes here where I live.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't seen a mosquito. I might have seen two mosquitoes the whole time. Now I can
good.
Down there where I hunt, say 15 miles from here. You go down there and there's plenty of mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
But why they're not up here, I have no clue.
Yeah.
But there's no standing water around here. The creeks run, and of course there's little side holes that's got water standing in them. But there's no creek right here at the house, and I don't know why there ain't no mosquitoes. But where I come from down there in the swamp, there was plenty. I had plenty of mosquitoes to put up with in my life.
Yeah, I can send you some. I can send you some if you need them.
Oh, I guarantee you.
When I was in college, I'd go down to a phone booth to make a phone call at night. We didn't have phones in our rooms. We didn't have cell phones or anything. You go in a payphone in Florida in the summertime, it looked like one of those shows, where they make you get in there and eat worms and all that stuff. Man, you couldn't breathe in there. I just, what I'd do is I'd dial the number and then I'd
Stand outside.
Yeah, pull that. They had a metal jacket, I guess, on the cord,
Yeah.
You bring it between the doors and close the door and stand outside and talk. Well, Jim, what about, I think we mentioned this a little bit. They're going to bring, somebody said they're going to bring a hunt back to Salisbury. Have you heard anything about that?
Danny Jones is a good friend of mine, and I've known him for years. He used to hunt with Alan Shue all the time.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get the southeastern hunt put back up there, but that was voted down. They're not going to move the southeastern hunt. So there's so many people that really wanted a big hunt up here, and it did good when it was here. And so he's went through the Tramp Hill Coon Hunter Association is the ones that put on the southeastern hunt. And when the U.S. Championship was in Salisbury, they put on it too. It's I don't know how many clubs it is, but that same association is give up their hunt dates, and they're going to put on this hunt. I think they was talking about calling it the Southern Classic or something. They had a couple of names. They hadn't really chose which name. They were supposed last time I seen, they were supposed to have a meeting that night and decide all that. And my computer, all this stuff went down up here. My computer went down for about a week, and I really hadn't seen what they decided to call it, but they're going to have it at Salisbury, at the fairground at Salisbury, and they've got everything straightened out with Salisbury, with the town of Salisbury, and the fairground, and the Tramp Hill Coon Hunters Association, the same clubs that carried cast for the Southeastern Treeing Walker is going to be carrying cast at the same places.
Awesome.
And he's hoping people will really support it. And it's not going to interfere with any other hunts, because then people give up their dates to put it on.
So it will be a UKC hunt, as far as you know.
It'll be a UKC hunt, right? And he's done got the thing from UKC. He's done got
the license and everything.
The license and everything's been okay.
Awesome.
I think it's like the 19th, 20th, 21st or something. Is that whatever dates them is that weekend in January.
Oh, okay.
And there's no other. I don't know when the Winter Classic is. It seems like it's sometime in that area.
It's in February.
Okay. Classic. Well, that won't be won't be a problem then.
No, and that won't affect each other anyway. Yeah. They're just too far apart.
He's hoping people will really support this thing, because that's a good time of the year to hold hunt up in this area.
Well, it was.
I hope it goes over big.
Oh, I do too, Jimmy. I sure do. And so many good times there at Salisbury over the years.
Yeah.
And, just a lot of memories for sure. And I know
it's
you
a
had
good place to hold a hunt. There's plenty of restaurants. There's plenty of hotels, motels, and
everything.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good place.
Did you guess they got that parking issue? I thought they had lost that parking lot across the road.
Well, they did lose that parking lot across the road. Now, I don't know. He said at the fairgrounds, there's a fairground at Salisbury. If you were coming south on 85, say, when you pass the exit to get off at the fairground where the hunt was, it's either the next exit or two exits down.
That Jake Alexander Road there where the Holiday Inn is. Would that be it?
Well, no. It's south
of there.
If you were coming from the north.
Yeah, okay.
When you pass Jake Alexander Boulevard, the next exit's where you got off to go to the southeast.
That's right.
Okay, well, now I don't really know if it's the same fairground they had before. See, what they were supposed to do before was all that out behind the buildings, was a great big place there. It was nothing. And they were supposed to make parking there. And that's one of the reasons Southeastern left. They never did develop that. I don't know if they've developed that, but I do know that one or two exits south of that there's a fairground down there. and I don't know if it's moving down there but when he puts the thing in, he'll have directions, whichever one.
Wonder if we'll have a mud hole to walk through and some of them salamanders burning in the building when we go in.
I hope we do. I want the full effect.
That's
don't
right,
you?
Man. That's what I'm saying.
Jump across the water into the building.
That's
right. Well, it wasn't nowhere to water to go. It was flat.
That's right. Oh, man.
Good or bad, I enjoyed having there, and I got good memories of it.
I've got a lot of pictures of that room just jammed full. And I've told this till it's tired, but I'll be like my dad. He said, I'm going to tell it again because I want to hear it myself. David Garden was making the announcements, getting ready to call the cast out at Salisbury. And, of course, that room was jam-packed with coon hunters. And he said, now, I know you boys have been laying around all winter thinking up rule changes for UKC. But he said, tonight, we're going to go by these on the back of the card. We don't want you to use none of them.
David.
I thought that was fun.
David's been in pretty bad health for a while.
Yes, he's been a trooper.
I had forgot about it, but they had Blue Tick Breeders of America's national hunt there in Wilson back in the early 80s.
Yeah, I was there.
And okay, well, I had been hunting. I think it might have been maybe before that, but I was going up hunting with Shelton Morris with the Blue Dog, Blue River Boomer, and them. I didn't get to hunt with Mike. He had just passed away the first time I went up. But I went up there and hunted regular with him, and he wanted me to hunt a dog in that hunt for him. And I had forgot about it being David Garden, but we was talking at the state hunt a couple of years ago, and he said, I always remember, Jim. He said, that blue tick hunting down there. He said, I was on the cache with you. I said, you was? He said, yeah. He said, I've told many people, I always remember. He said, them dogs would cross a deep place there, and we was talking about what we're going to do. And he said, you said, I'll show you what we're going to do. And you just hit that water and went over and got them dogs. He said, I told many people about that. He said, I couldn't believe that. And I said, yeah, well, that's one of them things.
That's why they called you the wild man.
I had forgot all about it being him till he said that.
That wasn't, as the old saying is back in the hills, that wasn't no step for a stepper. Jimmy, it's been delightful to talk to you, buddy. I always have a great time when we talk. And lo and behold, it's only going to be about, 2 months or a little more till Grand American time again.
It ain't long.
No, we got November, December, and there it'll be. So I guess with Full Cry, I don't know whether they're going to have the booth there in the normal place where I hang out or not, but I'll be around there somewhere, I guess.
Well, as far as I know, we'll be there. If them boys don't go, I'll manage to get down there somehow or another. I had missed once or twice since I was at the very first one, and I was at the last one they had. Most of the ones in between, I hadn't missed but a couple in all them years.
I got a feeling those Gilroy boys will come by and make sure you're down there.
Well, they have come in some awful bad conditions and still made it.
Yeah, what a great family they are, and I always look forward to seeing them too. And so many.
I tell you, we was talking about going down, and I've had a little bit of trouble with my heart. I'm just saying this so you have a basis. But anyway, we was planning on going down to Chuck's, the one I told you got the pup.
Yeah.
And he's about probably 4.5, 5. He's probably 5 hours from here. He's all the way down next to North Myrtle Beach. And we was talking about going down there. Well, the day before we were supposed to go, I had some problems. Of course, I couldn't go. But they went down again just a little bit later, and I said, well, I ain't supposed to be driving, so they offered to come plumb over here and get me and take me down there and then bring me home before we got ready to go. And Chuck said, well, shoot, if you can't drive, I'll just drive up there and get you and bring you down here and take you back home. I said, there ain't a lot of people like that.
No.
So I appreciated that.
Oh, I know you do, Jim. And well, you got to be a friend to have friends,
Yeah,
And
that's it.
you've always treated me with nothing but respect, and I always look forward to seeing you. Some guys that I've met over the years coon hunting, I kind of want to go the other way when I see them coming. Did you ever have one like
Jones,
that?
Yeah, oh yeah. That Danny Jones I was telling you about, he put on there a while back. I don't remember exactly what it was, and he said something about me. He said, "You've been a good friend for many years," and I put on there, the reason you got good friends is because you are a good friend.
Yeah, there you go.
That makes a difference.
And John Wick wrote, when I wrote my book, he did the foreword for the book, and in there he mentioned the fact that a person pretty much by the friends, the company they keep. And over the years, I've met a lot of people, but there's kind of an inner circle of people that I really, enjoy being with. And of course, we mentioned my buddy Lindell there and the struggles. And Jimmy Phillips and Jerry Mall and David McKee and all, we all worked with Lindell when I went to AKC. And it really hurts us to see our buddy struggling like he is right now. And, we just get close to some of the people. And these dogs, do I owe a lot to these hound dogs for the people that have come into my life,
Well, it's family.
Family is right, absolutely.
It's family, the dogs and the people.
That's right. Yeah, go ahead.
It's them special ones is just, and it's not that you think any less of anybody else, but they just certain ones that's family.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do.
I don't know I don't know how you would describe it, but it's just certain ones.
Well, it's like the old country preacher back here in West Virginia said, talking about salvation. He says it's better felt than telt.
Yeah.
So you feel it, you know what you're talking about, but it's
well, you can't describe it, but you know what it is.
That's for sure. Well, Jim, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate so much the fact that you've given up an hour and a half of your day here to visit with me and with my listeners, and I just don't call you enough, and I want to do better.
Yeah.
But
I appreciate the call and appreciate talking to you.
Absolutely.
Always enjoy it.
Well, thank you. I do too, buddy, for sure. All right, I'm going to shut this down. Friends, we've been talking with Jimmy Meeks. What town are you in, Jim? What's your hometown
do
now?
What?
What's your hometown now?
Elkin, North Carolina.
Elkin, that's right. If you go up I-77 from Charlotte, heading up toward Whitfield, Virginia, you'll see this exit there for Elkin. You'll see it's not tabletop flat up in that part of the country. But it's always enjoyable to visit with Jim Meeks. I want to take the opportunity to thank Buddy Woodbury, W Hunting Supply, for making this podcast possible, for my good friend Big Mark Zepp. Predator Calls. I'm getting ready to try out a new one. He's got one here called the Eagle that I'm going to take on my Pennsylvania trip. So I want to thank Mark, and for all of you for listening, because our listenership stays right up there near the top, and we couldn't do that without you. So thank you very much. If you're looking for Jim Wildman Meeks, I'll tell you, I'll give you a clue. He's gone to the dogs.